boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Clap on Thundercloud. Boom, boom. Welcome back to Chillin Tuesday. It's the 25th of February and I've been away from Chillin Tuesday for a couple of months really. Been at Christmas, been at New Year's, been at my birthday, been at various things, been variously lazy. Actually, lost my lapel microphone and I had to order a new one so you could have good quality poetry. Well, the quality of poetry is always good here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame on Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, living rainbows after rain. Let's have some fun and linguistic games. Everybody knows Mum calls me, James. Hey, boom. Tonight, the spinner. Where? I'm spinning. No, Spinner. It's a magazine published in 1924. That is 101 years ago, more or less. And it's a little verse magazine with a bunch of poets from that time and then a bit of Les Murray as well. So that's what we're up to. Welcome back to Chillin Tuesday. The weather here in Garran is 24. It's been a rather balmy day for Garran, around about 27 or something like that. There's a bit of a storm brewing out the back. Can't hear any thunder. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Hey, let's get on the road. No, let's get the show on the road. Because if we get on the road, we might get run over and be flat or dead. Okay, the show. The spinner. Let's magic a book into my hands. 1, 2, 3. Hang on. Something like that. Boom! There it is, the spinner. An Australian magazine of verse, volume 1, number 1, October 1924. Yeah, so it's pretty old. It's 101 years and a little bit more. And some of the contributors in this very first edition are Furnley Maurice, Bernard O'Dowd, J. Shaw Neilson, Marie E.J. Pitt, Mary Pitt, Reginald S. Ellery, Mary Gilmore, and Basil Garstang. And as we go through the night, you're going to hear some of their wonderful poems. There's only 16 pages to this, by the way, so it's not going to take me long. So as well as that, I have got some Les Murray lined up for you, because why not? It's coming up to the 5th anniversary. It must be the 6th anniversary of the death of Les Murray. Yeah, 2019, we're 25 now. So, all right, the spinner. Let's begin, shall we? Inside, we've got a photo of Mary Gilmore. You might recognise her. If you've ever looked at a blue $10 note, you would have seen her. The spinner. This one's by J. Shaw Neilson. Her eyes foretold of happiness. Her eyes foretold of happiness, as grapes foretell of wine. Her feet were like the lights that fall in greeneries divine. Her forehead seemed as clear heaven, where all the loves agree. Her lips were like the flower's lips, so delicate was she. Her hair was like a joy that walks in a long fallen rhyme. Her bosom was a white morning in the keen summertime. Oh, lips that lightly gave and gave the laugh to jeopardy. I know not how about the world so sweet a mouth could be. Well, what a lovely poem, eh? J. Shaw Neilson. The next one here we've got is by Mary E.J. Pitt, called Bereaved. Something has gone from the earth and sky that once was its gold and blue, and the ghost of a song in the wind goes by, that yesterday thrilled me through. The almond is veiled in bridal lace. Ah, why does the almond blow when the world today's an empty place? When the guest of my heart must go. In a dream last night, while the warm world slept, tearless, I walked and dumb, in a strange grey wood where the low skies wept for the grief to come. The sun is kind and the green earth good, and the almond tree has blown. But I walk apart in a strange grey wood, tearless and bowed, alone. Wow. Yeah, well, that's Mary Pitt. The other one that I know of hers is actually called Evil. So, do you want to hear it? I'll take you in there, shall I? 1, 2, 3. Boom! Ah, here she is, Mary Pitt. Not Beelzebub, but white archangel. I turn the dim glass and shift the sands again, and touch the eyelids of the sons of men, lest they forget and drowsy lie in fate's unfurrowed fallow till they die, as seed that quickens not for dawns that leap from out the dark of immemorial, with a kiss of wind and sun and wizard tears of fugitive clouds to wake them from their sleep. With milestones I have set the crumbling sod of human judgment, that they stray not wide, nor language lost in labyrinths always, and smile in pity when I hear them pray, that wrong's rude whips from then be turned aside, who call me evil, not discerning God. And there she is, Marie Pitt. Boom. And here I am back here again now. The next one I've got for you is by Furnley Maurice, and it's called The Gully. And it's a very long poem, that's for sure. It's in how many parts? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 parts. But it's a gully. It's about a gully. What's a gully? A gully is like a valley, but like on the side of a mountain that's sort of like a ravine. But, you know. Anyway, who was Furnley Maurice? Because you may not know. I didn't know. Frank Leslie Thompson Wilmot. Frank Leslie Thompson Wilmot. He published his work under the pseudonym Furnley Maurice, was a noted Australian poet, best known for To God from the Warring Nations in 1917 during World War I. He was born on the 6th of April 1881, and he passed away on the 22nd of February 1942. So that's like just 3 days ago. It's the 25th of February. So yeah, he was a contemporary of what do you call that fella? Henry Lawson and Banjo Patterson, Mary Gilmore, of course. He was. He wrote for a Melbourne Labor paper, The Tocsin, before he was 20. Produced his own monthly magazine called Microbe. His first separate publication, Some Verses by Frank Wilmot, appeared in 1903, and attracted little notice. Another volume, some more verses, was printed in 1904 but was suppressed before publication. Some years later, a few copies of this volume were discovered, which found their ways into a collector's hand. Finding at one stage that his work was being persistently rejected, especially by the Bulletin, where the editor was known to dislike Wilmot adopted the pseudonym of Furnley Maurice, and his poems thereafter were published either anonymously or under this pseudonym. So there you go. Just because of one cranky editor, he had to publish under a different name. Goodness gracious me. Well, there you go, eh? It's a bit like, I don't know, Facebook trying to censor the government. Who knows? Maybe he was censored by people in the government, and they went and talked to the Bulletin and said, we must stay away from, must not publish this guy's stuff, it's too subversive. Who knows? Who knows? Don't know. Anyway, The Gully by Furnley, F-U-R-N-L-E-Y. The sun that beats on this spur's stolid brow, the sun that beats on Erdnadatta now. Little swift lights in the enfolding green, the things I've seen, a baby bracken spray that lifts a lump of clay and stretches fearless fronds into the day. The things I've heard have drenched imagination, stilled the tone of speech until it seems speech cannot burst the tiger bonds of the heart's deathless thirst to draw the miracle from this dark stone, or hold the music of a hidden bird. So that's part one of The Gully. What beautiful writing and an interesting way to describe a gully. Let's continue, part two. Looking from the hut door one dawn in June, I saw Australian snow under the moon. Tall ghostly gums in glacial silence dressed, towered in eternal rest. A mass of silver fog, a floating shroud, rolled slowly up the hillside to the crest, like silence going home into its cloud. A woodman humped his pack and sauntered west, uphill into the sky, where all things go that die, like flame and sound and mist and minstrel's sigh. Part three. Far down the valley of the Acheron, rustle leaves and slender little trees, and trees immeasurably old and wan, make home for all the bush folk and the bees. Birds have blown from the blacklands and have told songs and adventures, lowing near my gate, the bullocks shouldering through the wattle gold, have brought the wilderness to where I wait. The sun will flow across the paddock soon, putting the grey furze shadows softly down for carpets where white lambs will lie at noon and cattle drowse on pastures yet ungrown. The gums with outstretched arms welcome the light, whose falling billows break the clouds that lurch against their hills, and in most mild affright rustles its little leaves the dainty birch. But this is not enough. My heart grows fond. I'll go where beauty weaves in tenser spells, beyond the noise of axes and beyond the mellow clamour of cattle bells. The wild-eyed team with horned and swaying heads goes past the teamster, waves his glad good day. There's load on load of timber at the sheds, and still he would not care to come my way. While miracles of bushflower burst and move about him, these he will not turn to share, yet like a child eager for things to love, he's hungry to be told what things are fair. Within him there's a spirit careless, free, slow to condemn he is and slow to praise, profuse in grumbling generosity, and drenched at heart with the light of burning days. And there he strides with all this on his head, bawling through dust his blasphemous commands, the teem's his life, he's mountain born and bred, in death the whip lies in his sunburned hands. Part 5. I turned my steps to that remembered glade. I wandered listlessly without a care. I went down by a track that someone made for love, for simple love of maidenhair. Beyond the clump and up the fern bowl stair, swell the damp scents that make the very nostrils quake as the flushed spirit plunges in cool air. Not pegged, nor planned, nor measured is the way. It winds like love through danger to the falls where I can rest and pay my love out to this day, and stanch my dread in the creek's madrigals. Here, from on high, the white clematis trails down to a leaf in a rotting log entombed. Roses there were for Persian nightingales, but these are the first flowers that ever bloomed. Part 6. In this calm gully has been given me the peace that arduous yearning may not span, the beauty that eludes our fervour sea, and love that comes not easily to man. Not law, but song of thrushes guided him, who in his wandering found this gully first. How dire it must have seemed, how secret, dim, till at his feet the flowers from darkness burst. Joyously frail the joy I have found here, there, breathless, a tremulous sadness in these groves. But 'tis not cruel, 'tis the radiant fear that hovers round whatever thing man loves. The dread that huddles into shuddering minds, the false prophecies of frightened men, desire that sways and falls, binds and unbinds, shall not awake my foolish care again. If some devoted wanderer could devise this passage through the scented underwood, may not man's thoughtful habit, dumb yet wise, bring back the careless people to its good? Part 7. There breaks upon my sight a low, magnificent light, green as the core that in a green fire burns. Each leaf is a green lamp glowing, swung to illume my going down the moist colonnades of mouldering ferns. Here is a spirit deep, stirring in lovely sleep, the wind-swept hills that have heard my nameless fear, till by great love oppressed, I still my heart's unrest, and spoke my love, and speech has brought its tear. There is a spirit bound within this holy ground. A chrysalis cares not for what freedom brings, but without love or sight breaks its way into light, not knowing it will someday move with wings. Part 8. Oh, spirit in this beauty slumbering, if I were king, passions and poets and provinces I would bring, broad, prosperous pastures, watered and fat herds, markets and ships, I can but give you words, trembling to incoherence in their dread, that they will leave your beauty badly said. A bouquet of pale notions in a song, afraid lest its incompetence does you wrong. Cradled upon a muddy wash of dreams, slinging from passion to passion about the earth, my praise is spoiled with ardour never seems it full to fit your worth. Part 9. For you grow younger with each glowing spring, and your frail singers older every year. They grow immortal, could their ardour bring a fragment of the wonder lurking here into the body of our living day. Sometime, someone will snare a snog that will not pass away, and all your beauty's bonds will be undone. For this unstoried forest calls fresh ways, fresh words, fresh music, arts not told nor tried. Full years will prosper ere your poet lays his laurel at the feet of them that found your theirs and marked the secret down and died. Good men who loved like men without a sound, for love will never leave her dead to rot. What they reveal is measured by their sight. For they loved your hills will not forget them, and the measure of their right is by the fullness of their love begot. Part 10. If I could take your mountain in my heart and tell the wonder in another land, as to some mariner mumbling o'er a chart, strangers would hearken and not understand. For you, without a poet or a past, await establishment the years that seem long, while we hope and search by feast and fast, prepare the passage for our King of Song. He will not suddenly burst into our day. He will not come till we have cut the way. 'Tis more than one man's life to strike the reef, to delve the precious ore, crush out the gold, hammer the metal into delicate leaf, or link by massive forged chains that hold the wandering passions of men in one vast fold. Part 11. Give him your colour, all your noisy flocks of parrots ruining the apple trees. Give him your awesome majesty, you rocks. Give him your gums, your tranquil elegancies. And you, continuous veil of scent and sound that never failing goes by dawn and dark, by dusk and noon, past creeks and summits crowned with cloud and high trilling of the lark. And you, eternal rivulet that pours diamonds into my palms, pert finches too, drive down into his body, make him yours forever till his heart is lost in you. Become to him love's evening and love's morn. He will love you and as a guardian hound defend your spirit, though defiance waits scorn in all the condescending world around. Part 12. Measure me by my love and let me go. Sweet spirit of this gully, if you heard my utterance, baying loud or murmuring low, measure me by my love, not by my word. And let your damply pungent, loaded air be all the breath of all my breathing day, and let your presence stand for all things fair, and heartening and never far away. Then I'll be you, Australia, like a priest who dreads that he is faltering in faith. I have a fear 'tis I that love you least of all your children laughing at the feast, a fear that's bitterer than utter death. The nations count the granaries and gold. They praise the daring justice of your rule. They try your power, but not till you are old. Will men remember you were beautiful? When love has done with loving, you'll command the remnants of devotion when you beat of time dissolves the nations. You will stand a pile of broken terrors at your feet. Final part 13. Now, I have touched your soil. I will go back, chastened and cleansed. The plover calls his mate. I'm bright with ardour, faithful till the rack of hurtling time is piled at heaven's gate. You are sufficient, hill and stone and fern. From you I have gained fortitude and dawn, serenity to suffer those who spurn. We move through shadow, visioning the dawn. Furnley Maurice. Well, yeah, there we go. The Gully by Furnley Maurice. The next one I've got is by $10 Mary. Yes, Mary Gilmore on the $10 note. It's called The Door. There are notes in the back of this, and I'll read you the notes that Mary Gilmore notes. Mary Gilmore in The Spinner presents in this issue a portrait of a lady. The word lady in inverted commas means loaf giver. I didn't know that. Although nowadays it's often construed somewhat differently in its real meaning, it may well be applied to Mary Gilmore, for she is generous both as to material things and dreams. In her is the spirit of charity. She has a ready wit, a wonderful store of true tales of adventure, pathos, and humour, and her philosophy is happy and consoling, never cynical, although she has endured much. In her writings, especially in Married and Other Verses and The Hound of the Road, a volume of essays, her personality is always apparent, for qualities so rare as hers could not well be disguised. Well, there you go. That's written by the editor. Okay, well, let's read the poem, The Door, by Mary Gilmore. I've come lonely to my house, the house of flesh, as one who, from the little heart of his young fresh and happy years, went wandering forth and then returns once more to its old hospitable door. I have come lonely to my house and its dust. Gone is the glowing from wherein once lay my trust. Gone the proud splendour of its worth. How strange from death's dark shore to come and find no more that door. I have come here eager as one to his old place, who hopes to find familiar things and finds no trace. One who has never ceased to hear, cried deep in his heart's core, sounds he had heard round one old door. Far, far at sea sailors will dream they hear a cock crow from a farmyard fence and wake in sudden shock, to feel upon the face a tear for things they know no more, known round an old familiar door. And in the scattered lands a man, sodden with drink, will pause and sway as one whom some sharp thought made shrink, struck as the dim-eyed by a gleam, when as from youth's far shore a sound hails passing one old door. And in the scattered lands where lone a woman sits or risen trims her housewife fire, a shadow flits, or a voice calls and suddenly she sees far Sydney's shore and an old, old door she knows no more. And I, coming again to mine own house, but find a haunted echo answer there and an old door shut. Ah, with the fresh sleep's memory, not to be wakened more, save by that old familiar door. By Mary Gilmore, the door. Oh, that's poor. No, no, that's great. I liked it. Yeah, we'll give it a thumbs up. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you loving Chillin Tuesday and you like poetry, subscribe and you'll be notified, and click on the bell and the notifications, or what do they say? Slap it, whack it, stick it in the hole, bing, bing, bing. Something like that. Anyway, I don't know. Notify and subscribe yourself to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, because then you'll be aware when new stuff comes out and you can like learn about like wonderful poems by wonderful Australian poets, read by yours truly and whoever else comes along and sits in the chairs, wherever the chairs may be. Let's move right along, shall we now? The spinner I'm reading from tonight, an Australian magazine of verse. Coming up this Friday night, the 28th of February, we've got Gwyn Ashton here on this stage. Yes, the great Mojo Soul solo tour, but he's accompanied this week by Partyline from Armidale. Yes, check him out. Partyline. Gwyn Ashton's only $30 to get in here. Door open at 7. Show starts at 7:30. It's going to be a 2-hour show. It's going to be fabulous, or even more actually. It's going to be a fabulous show. You will have a lovely night. You can bring whatever you want, your own, and there will be food available here as well. So, Gwyn Ashton, link is in the description to buy tickets. Buy tickets in advance, and you can also get them at the door, but it's better if you buy them in advance, you know, because it's a little bit more expensive at the door because there's like ticketing fees, etc., etc. All right. The Poet, a Poet by Bernard O'Dowd. Who was Bernard O'Dowd? Boom. And here I got about who he is. Bernard O'Dowd, born on 11th of April 1866, passed away on the 1st of September 1953, was an Australian poet, activist, lawyer, and a journalist. He worked for the Victorian colonial and state governments for over 50 years, first as an assistant librarian at the Supreme Court in Melbourne, and later as a parliamentary draftsman. Well, there you go. That's who he was. Now, what I've got here is the poet. That's his poem, The Poet. And a little bit more about him. Why was he an activist? I want to know. So, what did he in 1888, 1888, he published the Australian Secular Association Lyceum Tutor, which he edited, and it contained several of his poems. What else has it got? Well, in 1913, he began a long career as a parliamentary draftsperson, retiring in 1935. Over the years, Bernard O'Dowd's official career remained distinct from his poetical and political activities. So in 1897, he was a co-publisher of the first issues of the radical paper Toxin, which was associated with the United Labour Party. He wrote a regular column in the Toxin as Gavar the blacksmith, active as a lecturer with the Victorian Socialist League from about 1900. He was a founding member of the Victorian Socialist Party. Poor him, he was deluded. Well, look, we got to understand and have compassion for these fools at the time. They'd all been indoctrinated by Marx and Engels as Das Kapital, and they'd all been reading it, well, most of them, and some of them believed it and became socialists. So he was a founding member, and yes, so he was, there you go. In his private capacity, he was a member of the Theosophical Society as well, Charles Strong's Australian Church, and Frederick Sinclair's Free Religious Fellowship. His partner was Marie Pitt, who was a notable socialist and poet as well, and they lived in Northcote. Right, okay. He attended services at the Unitarian Church on Cathedral Place, and he wished to be buried according to Unitarian traditions, whatever that is. Anyway, let's read his poem, The Poet, by Bernard O'Dowd. Deaf to the trumpets, to the banners blind, blaring and waving glory through the vale, he stumbles lonely up the foothills slow. To a star's song's call he feels, but may not hear. By a high light lured, no soaring bringeth near. Though thicketed despair and bouldered snow, he climbs the mountain he shall never scale, to seek the rose he knows he shall not find. So it's an interesting rhyming scheme. It's an A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A. So there are 8 line like stanzas, part 2 of the poet. Cloth doth not weary him, nor wit frustrate, smiling at sterile laws, unfeeling lore, and sacred books embalmed garrulities. He cons the alphabets of day and night to spell the word that stirred the void to light. Our hearers overhears in a momentary breeze, or half surprises in a poem's core the pulses of its presence uncreate. Through a life broad blur of tears, a dim light shows the mystic west his quest shall never reach, or after hungry years his faithful eyes discern across the surf whose white fangs make the coral cradle of the brooding lake impregnable, the palms of paradise, the ever young upon the shining beach, and all the petals of the eternal rose, that we one day may tread the radiant street, with which unseen our dark ones intertwine, or see as he the world alike portrayed, on wilted flower and Eden's flaming sword. He dares the trolls of many a hidden hoard of wizardry for clues we have mislaid, and slumbering vows, potent to combine dismembered beauty in the vase complete. No diadems of gems that thrall his eye, for whom each desert flower adorns a fane. Forum or mart he maketh not his goal, who hath the world and singing orbs in fee. For nothing is, or was, or yet shall be, that is not here and now within the soul, nor gods there are or were, but by him reign. Or if he be not ever, surely die. Eyes ambushed in his dreaming eyes too deep, for prying scalpels see through space and time, the golden years transfigured on the grey, pulsing divinities in the stock and stone. And each wild waste a carpet to the throne, and so he flings the things reprise away, the rose to gather and the mount to climb, the quest to accomplish and the surf to leap. A Poet by Bernard O'Dowd. Not sure whether I liked that or not. I'm not really fond of it. It was hard to read actually. But some kind of nice flowery. It's a bit flowery, if anything, I thought. Too difficult to read. You'd have to read it twice, 3 times, I think. That's just my criticism. I'm a critic. I'm sure I could like it. I'm sure it's a lovely poem and I love it the more I read it. The next one. Well, this is interesting. This is called Where. Like where are you? Where are you? I'm looking for you. Where? By a fellow called Heinrich Heine. Wo wird einst des Wundermuden, I don't know, and it's translated by R. Garran. So it's a translation, yeah. It's called Where? Which of Earth's last resting places waits these weary limbs of mine? Under palms in some oasis? Under lindens on the Rhine? Shall the wilderness enfold me, buried by an alien hand? Or where ocean's waves have rolled me, shall I slumber in the sand? What care I? God's holy heaven shall overarch me there as here, and the golden stars at even swing like lamps above my bier. So the Sculptor is the next one by Reginald S. Ellery. I don't know anything about him, but I'm sure you can Google him. The Sculptor. All day, God in creative further beat the sun into a globe of gleaming gold, and shaped the earth in bronze until it rolled with perfect balance on its airy seat, discarding petals and the force of heat, and working fondly from a dream of old. He carved an antique moon all chaste and cold, from marble, making all his work complete. And when the sun slept in the bed of night, God gathered up his tools and trestles tall, and swept the marble debris far away from out his workshop door to watch it fall in long translucent trails of silver light, dusting the dome of heaven in disarray. Reginald S. Ellery, the Sculptor, talking about the the greater greatness of greatness, the big G-O-D. The Swag is the next one by Basil Garstang, Garstang. Garstang. A little quick one, and it's the very last one of The Spinner, an Australian magazine of verse, Volume 1, Number 1, from October 1924, over 101 years ago. Wow. All right, The Swag. I labour with brain and pen and long for a simple load. But when shall I loaf again with a swag on a winding road? With a swag on a winding road, who knows but I next may go with a lifetime's mingled load to the camp that the dead men know? Basil Garstang. And that's it. From The Spinner. Yeah, wow, what a cool little book. And that I picked that up in Uralla just the other day from the secondhand bookshop there. Yeah, and Now, as promised, Les Murray. Let's do some magic. Boom. Oh. Right, here we are. The People's Otherworld, poems by Les Murray. This is a special copy because I got this one also from the place down there in Uralla, the second-hand bookshop with a special poetry section, and it's actually a book that's a full review copy sent out to the poet, and it's got the review in it, which is really cool actually, typed because it's like Australian Book Review 1983 by Julian Croft, Department of English, University of New England. So here is a book that, well, belonged to Julian Croft, or went to Julian Croft. He wrote this review. I hope he sent it off to the Australian Book Review in 1983. We'd have to check that out. And that's the book review of it. Should I read it to you? It's long. No, I want to read Les Murray's poems to you. All right? Because they're cool. Here we go. Little boy impelling a scooter. Oh, this has a special place in my heart because I have a scooter. Little boy on a wet pavement. That's scary. Little boy on a wet pavement near nightfall, balancing his scooter, his free foot spurring it along, his every speeding touchdown, striking a match of spent light, the long concrete patched with squeezed dry impacts, coming and going, his tyres, rubber edge, splitting the fine water. He jinks the handlebars and trots around them, turning them back and stamps, fresh small impulsions, maddeningly on and near, often behind his earlier impulses. Void blurring pavement stars, void blurring wheel noise uneven with hemmed out sets as the dark deepens over town. To bear his rapture, to smile, to share in it, requires attitude, all remote from murder. Watching his bowed, intent face and slackly trailing, sudden pump, leg passing and hem repassing under power lines and windy leaves and the bared night skies, interminable splendours. Gosh, I felt like I was there on that scooter. It's like, oh, I gotta show you my scooter. It's got a new horn. Hang on. Boom. Boom. There you go. Here it is. My scooter. See? And just like Les Murray, I felt like that little boy. Anyway, I got a scooter and Les Murray, like, he nailed it. Hey, he really did. I felt like he nailed it. I felt like the little boy on the scooter. But then I can relate, I suppose. Anyway, but I've got a horn. See my horn? It's very good. I can do it this way, and I turn it around and I can blow myself. You can see me blow myself on OnlyFans. Not really. Anyway. Little Boy Impelling a Scooter by Les Murray. What a great poem that is. All right, another one. Time travel? You want to do time travel? All right, let's do time travel. What was that? That was time travel. Well, I went and I came back. But you didn't know where I went because it was like the same time for you. Like it's now here. But here it's this time. But where you're watching, it's not this time, it's that time because you're watching in that time, not this time. That's time travel. So this time transcends time because this time can be watched any time and all time, forever time, if it's available. Once it's in the Ethernet, in the internet, in the world, well, This time becomes all time, forever time. Time Travel by Les Murray. To revisit the Spitfire world of the duel, you put on a suit of white body armour, a helmet, like an insect's composite eye, and step out like a spacewalker under haloed lights, trailing a cord. Descending with nodding foil in hand towards the Pomander and Kravitz sphere, you meet the opponent. For this journey can only be accomplished by a pair who semaphore and swap quick respect before they set about their joint effort, which is making zeros and serifs so swiftly and with such sprung variety that the long steels skid, clatter, zing, switch, batter, bite, kiss, and ring in the complex rhythms of that society, with its warrior snare of comme il faut, that has you facing a starched bow near stable walls on a misty morning, seeking the surrender in him, the pedigree flaw through which to pin him, the probing for your own braggadocio, confusion, ennui, or inner fawning. Seconds, holding stakes and cloths, look grim and surge a step. Exchanges halt, for one of you stands aging horribly, collapses, drowning from an entry of narrow hurt. The other gulps hot chocolate, a trifle fast, but talking nonchalant. A buzzer sounds, heads are tucked under arms, and you and he swap curt nods in a more Christian century. Well, there we go. Time Travel by Les Murray. All right, I reckon that would have been so that's 1983. Probably would have been inspired by Back to the Future or something like that in a way. You never know. You watch that movie and start thinking about whatever. Next one. Exile prolonged by real reasons. I've no right to what I need. The flying fox crawls on the ground. My father driving fast at 17 in a blue Dodge with spoked dog-killing wheels, winds north through the sandstone plateau country, its bare contour lines, its oyster rivers, its pastry flower soil, its rustling creeks. He sees it as country, not fit to farm. So send her for the long split rails of home. 30 years till he drive that road again. But the blue flyer dwindles ahead of dust. I drive back from life on a Sunday afternoon. When the flying fox first hit the ground, the road signs that point where my pain homed, all I used to say, 8. Now they said 13. I brought the Gloucester Road to mind, every cutting and bank on those 25 miles, which was grassy, which gravel, which grew wild vines. Now, the blue flyer's driver grows old all alone. I have no right to need his help. Between sitting like Jackie at boarding house meals, train bells and waterfalls loosed with a chain, my father in Sydney on that trip rocked over the harbour on a drenched ship. His mentor, Jock Affleck, wished to bound for home, storms and all. Jock never saw Scotland again. I haunted Central Station in my turn to hear names or a suitcase called a port. This even as I was learning to judge landscape, not for food, but blasphemy, as landscape, a world of understanding for a world of interest. I prized that trap open each time it went swap. That isn't the wire that brought the fox down. I have no right to what I need. Exile prolonged by real reasons. Yeah. People's Otherworld. Poems by Les Murray. And this book was, well, published by Angus and Robinson, of course. And I'll just look for it in 1983. Yeah, I was 13. That was the year that Australia won the America's Cup, the yacht race. I wonder if they're probably not in here anyway. The People's Other World. Let's go to the back of the book. Let's do the very last poem of the book. No, let's not, because I haven't read it. And I wouldn't like to mess it up. Art history. The suburb of Surrealls. We dreamed very wide awake those days for obedience's sake. In the suburb of Surrealls, horse families board the airline bus to sell packages of phlegm. My notebook is hugely swollen for some reason. I am American. Such dreaming is enforceable. Everyone became guarded. A tinkling of cymbals was heard. It's the West occupying the dream world because the East has captured reason. Some said, many ceased to listen. In fact, we'd gone to the dream for supplies of that instant. Paint of the twilight kingdom, which colours every object, supernal, deeply important, spirit surrogate. We even synthesized it. Exposed to the common air, it weathered quickly to the tone of affectless, weird despair, elegant, barely contained anger. Our new patrons demanded when we had trained them to it. False dreamings are imperial, but we couldn't disappoint them. Few others now read us by choice. Woof, woof, our master's voice. To be fair, many of us had now joined the creative class and become our masters, but the paint, when stolen and breathed straight from the tin, gave a noble, deathly rush that ensnared imagination. Whew, art history, the suburb of Surrealls. Yeah, wow, that's really cool. I like that. The suburb of Surrealls, the horse families board the airline bus to sell packages of phlegm. My notebook is hugely swollen. For some reason, I am American. Oh, Les Murray. I got goosebumps all over me there. Oh gosh, I'm channeling Les Murray. Oh gosh. Oh, really, shivers. Oh, I suppose Dialectic of Dreams I'm going to have to do because it's what I've been told to do. Read on, and then we'll go in there and we'll go and do Rainwater Tank. You can look at Les. The Dialectic of Dreams. Dream harbours sin and innocence and magic. Re-stews mundane cabbage. Stacks a shifting tarot. Equivocates naively about death, the secular absolute. Things rationality, the replacement aristocrat, approves only for enhancement. By midday, it has clarified its twinship with that relic, but comes round again by night at the latest, in a skin boat sailing on the blood, for a dream lives its life engorged, its own tumescence, makes eerie conquests, can engender children, though few who see the sun. The real takes some joint permission, two in one, ideally twice before one and one. Make one, three, a third, or two as one. All those numbers of the dream, mathematic. Oh, real dreams are from home. Will be, might have been. Back there, the light as it was. Will be, might have been, all the receding dream tenses. The dreamer is even yourself, or you are aware it is there in the action unsafe. Greater than action, passive, rarely uttering in the endless. Preparations for horror, for happiness, those appalling formula of other directed at us, which may persist as salt foam on the margin of lapsed scenes, or the liked filmed cities be resumed into their own presence. And that otherworld near compliance, spindling faintly through the day, heightening thought, blanking it, silvering, beckoning away, preternatural, those interiors, half recalled by consciousness. They never in this world, nor in your life, those wet bossed lanes. Yet this is the heart of work, the human stage, the butterfly, to be conscious at the source of worlds, rat, raising the ante. The daylight oil, the heavier grade of reason, reverie's clear water, that of the dream world ocean, agitate us and are shaken, forming the emotion without which we make nothing much, not art, not love, not war, nor its reason nightmare methods, not the Taj, not our homes, not the masses of the gods. But the fusion persists in the product, not in us. A wheel shatters, drains our pooled rainbow. It was a moment. The world is debris and museum of that moment. It's prospectus and farm. The wheel is turned by the engine. I think of the people and buildings in a business street, how they lack a perfect valve to take on and release successive visions, and will be pulled down for it. Their walls dreamed on the milk of obsolete children. Dream surrounds. is infused with this world. It is not subordinate. We come from it. We live at tangents and accords with it. We go back into it at last, through the drowsing, tortured chambers into it, through the drowsing, tortured chambers to it. We have the gills for dream life in our head. We must keep them wet. From the 9 nights immense, all dreams will emerge boldly and enforce it. Hide among or deny the shadow dreadful ones, and they may stay out. More things in heaven and earth then. Ratio. Anyhow, you can, because dreams the loose leaf book, not of fiction, but of raw pretend, incalculable as this world when the god of Mercury intervened often. It is the free splitting from God that parts nature from dream. They refresh each other with bafflement, each as the other's underground, freeing lives to be the finite because more, to be timeless, yet pure preparation, while those spaces, sacred as the poor, of the hallowed russet kingdom, of the haloed russet kingdom, are triggers impelling us, full of futures and pasts towards the present. Well, yeah. All right, on that note, we'll call that the end of The People's Otherworld, poem by Les Murray. But I got one more for you, as I said, and that's in the Poets Hall of Fame. And shall we walk in there? Yeah, let's go and see Les Murray in the flesh. Well, as in the paper, maybe. Here we go. There he is. Big Les, larger than life Les. Here he is. And I'll read you one of his poems here. This is Rainwater Tank. Empty rings, when tapped, give tongue. Rings that are tense with water talk. As he sounds them rung by rung, Joe Mitchell's reddened knuckles walk. The cattle dog's head sinks down a notch, and another notch beside the tank. And Mitchell's boy with an old Jack plane lifts moustache from a plank. From the puddle that the tank has dripped, hens peck glimmerings and up tilt, their heads to shape the quickness down. Petunias live on what gets spilt. The tank's stand spider adds a spittle thread to her portrait of her soul. Pencil grey and stacked like shillings out of a banker's paper roll. Stands the tank, roof-watered drinker. The downpipe stares drought into it. Briefly the kitchen tap turns on, then off, but the tank says debit, debit, and there we go. That's Les Murray, and I'm Thundercloud, and that's been a wonderful Chillin Tuesday. Good to have you back, good to be back, good to see you again. I've missed you all. And that's it from Chillin Tuesday, this 25th of February. Don't forget, Gwyn Ashton, this Friday night here from 7:30 to 7 o'clock from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame on Thundercloud. Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, living rainbows after rains. Thank you for joining us with these fun and poetic linguistic games. See you later. Boom. I'll just disappear here.